My name is Christian Basel. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a TARDIS. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With web show, this is the legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Whovians all over the Whoniverse. My name is Christian Basel, and welcome to another edition of the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We got some special guests today, including the Dalek Builders of Florida. But first, we just want to say this for the folks who were affected by Hurricane Ida, especially a good friend of mine, Nita Lanning, who is co-host of Ragin. Believe it or not, the title is actually called Ragin with the Asian and the Cajun. I love the title, but just weird there. We hope you're doing okay. If you need any help, reach out to whoever, your family members, whatnot. Our love, hope, and prayers are for everybody who were affected by Hurricane Ida and are probably still being affected by Hurricane Ida. Please stay safe out there. All you Whovians, please stay safe. Get in contact and just, whatever you need to do to take care of yourselves, take care of yourselves. After that, welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Let me introduce the panelists today. First off, we'll start with the lovely Dave Chapman. How you doing there, Dave?
Hello, Christian. Happy to be back on the show and back home. I've been running amok the last few weeks.
You've gone on a tour since you got out since MegaCon, since we went to MegaCon and Fanboy Expo. You've been touring the United States. How was that little tour?
No, I actually didn't come down to the States.
Oh, really?
That was going to be coming up. But with the land borders going south are still closed.
Oh, that's right.
So now I have to fly in. I've canceled about 4 weeks of that tour. So instead of driving from Alberta to Seattle and eventually down to Florida, I've cut Florida completely. I fly into Chattanooga and I do Gen Con Indianapolis, a little thing in Michigan, and then Origins Game Fair in Columbus, and then I fly home from there.
Dave Chapman's from the rathole.ca. If you are a gamer, board gaming, this is the man for you out there. Now, you sent me some pictures. Can you explain to me what the pictures are?
Yes. What I did do is I headed off to Vancouver and Victoria. So if you guys have seen the movie of Doctor Who, of course, the TARDIS lands in a back alley. That's the alley.
Oh my God! Oh, that's from the DVD. Oh, that's right. The pictures that Yuji showed us. Yeah.
That big hole. Hole being road is was covered up. I'm just gonna see if I can find the picture. Yeah.
Sure.
So that wall.
Oh wow.
Doesn't exist.
Okay.
And
it exists, but it's now painted over, right?
No. It's where the road is. The road continues through. That's where that wall is. They blocked off the alley.
Okay.
Yeah, they basically put up a huge scrim.
Yeah.
And said, look, this is an alleyway that just goes butts into another building. That's no building.
Exactly.
It's a scrim.
And
gotcha.
where I'm standing there is basically where Sylvester McCoy was shot and killed.
Now,
in the movie.
Who's that lovely gentleman with you in the picture there? I'm guessing. I'm totally guessing.
You're totally guessing that, yes, it is, in fact, Yuji Cho.
Nice.
We managed to meet up. He actually gave me one of the last few physical copies of his book.
Oh, I'm jelly.
Time and Spaces. He does have, and I'm not sure if it's launched for the public or not, he's done a video version of this book. So he's gone through and just put all of these photos that he took on set. As I whack my mic. and he's just done all the narration himself.
Okay,
so it's really a fabulous thing.
Got to meet Yuji, got to go on the set.
Exactly.
For a better term there. So
played some tic-tac-toe with him.
Oh.
on his character sheet from the role-playing game.
Nice.
So yeah, it was a fun trip, and I played some Quidditch and hung out in the forest fires, which is why my voice is shot right now, is I'm just getting some of that soak smoke and soot out of my chest.
Oh my
And
goodness.
my throat is not enjoying that.
Well,
just keep talking.
Exactly. We want you to keep talking for the entire hour. The guys we're just gonna sit back here.
Sounds good.
Speaking of sitting back here, lovely Miss Melanie Dean. How you doing there, Melanie? On the Instagram at Pieces of Melee. Check it out. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. I'm right now, as you might be, if he's noticing, I'm just kind of keep doing this as I'm uploading photos to the background. But getting ready for my next convention, Fanboy Expo in Dallas. Not Fanboy, sorry, FanExpo Dallas in 2 weeks. So, and then in the following month, October 31st, I'm getting ready for more stuff in Denver. So,
I've been tripping over those words myself. I say that, I went to Fanboy. No. I went to FanExpo, Fanboy Expo, but yeah, that's all that came.
We have one convention on top of another right now. I mean, everybody got, we're trying to get back into the swing of things with, I don't want to say post-COVID because certain states, we're still full on in it. But a lot of conventions are opening up. A lot of them that were scheduled in 2020 were pushed to 2021. And it's like in this kind of bank of these 3 months, it's just one convention on top of the other. Yeah. Some are overlapping or on the same day, or they're double dipping.
Speaking of conventions, let me introduce the gentlemen who are here, better known as the Dalek Builders of Florida. If you had the wonderful time over at MegaCon this year, you got to see their booth, their TARDIS, and of course the lovely K9 with our cosplayer, Faith Kelly. But they had an incredible booth out there, and we just had a great time with them. So let me go ahead and introduce the team. First of all, I'm going to start with
Daleks.
Gentlemen, I'm going to also introduce you to our doctors. They have it. Hey, Dan, no, you're not late. You're fine. You might occasionally see our doctors show up, and they love to get into the chat there. But let me introduce, first of all, Ken. How you doing there from the Dalek Builders? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how all this gets started, Ken.
Okay, so thanks. First of all, thanks for having me and the rest of the guys on the show today. So my name is Ken Verderami. I am probably the newest member of the group. I started construction of my Dalek back in January of 2020. And if you were at the booth, Dalek Nim is my guy, and he's the one that was about 3/4 built. He had base, skirt, shoulders, neck ring, but no dome on him. So I'm actually recently retired, 37-year military career, 22 years active duty, another 15 as a civilian. And so now I spend my time as a Viking Cruises resident astronomer and get to wander around the world on cruises teaching people about astronomy. In fact, I'm leaving in 2 weeks for a couple of cruises in Europe with Atlas Cruise Lines. So between that, find the time to hopefully complete my Dalek by the end of this year. And certainly for MegaCon next year, he should be a full-up functioning Dalek, which should be fun to do. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Ken. And let me bring in Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul, also of the Dalek Builders. How you doing today? Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started with all this.
I got started because I saw Doctor Who as a kid, and I saw this thing materialize out of nowhere, and I hid behind the couch because it scared the you-know-whats out of me. Then, as an adult, I decided I wanted to make one. So I went on.
That scared me, so I'm going to build one.
It scared the absolute you-know-whats out of what I was 5. And here I am over the age of 40 now, and I wanted to build one. So I said, I'm going to make one of these things. This thing scared me. Now I'm going to get past my fear by making one and becoming one.
Oh my God. Okay. So when most people are just running away from the fire, you build yourself the fire. You build yourself the Dalek there.
I build a fire, big fire.
You just want to shout at people through the modulator.
Exactly.
Yes.
Do a Nick Briggs. Get out of the way.
I do that sometimes.
Now, I want to bring in also Mr. Chad Gallagher. I know that you might have to leave at any given time, so let me go ahead and bring you on in there, sir. How you doing there, Chad? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Like Paul, I started watching Doctor Who when I was a little kid, and I've always loved the Daleks. And I always said I was going to build one, but I had no clue, and I was probably never going to do it until first year I went to MegaCon. I happened across the Dalek Builders of Florida, and they had also you want to build a Dalek, and I went in, I watched the panel, and basically that's how I got started with it. And it's been a slow process, a lot of procrastination and stuff. But I'm getting there.
Okay. Gotcha there. So, Ken, how did the Dalek Builders become united? How did you guys get together? When did the process all start? And how did it just start to form and say, you know what, this needs to be a group?
So I'm going to turn this over to Paul. He's probably the longest standing member. I am relatively new to the group, and so he's probably the best one to talk about the history of the brigade.
Yeah, I'm the second longest running person, maybe third, because there's two others. There's Karina and Scully. I had built my Dalek, and I had wanted to take it to MegaCon, and I wanted to be able to find a place to put it. And I happened along through Project Dalek, I found Scully, and he got me in through the R2 Builders group, because that's who we were initially part of, because we're technically droids, but not really. And after 2 or 3 years of that, we somehow, through Karina's manipulations of the people that run MegaCon, we got our own panel and our own booth. And it was our first booth was very small. We only had 2 to 3 Daleks. Or actually, we only had 2, but then we had the K9 and a few other things.
Right.
But after that, we've just been, steadily growing, usually 1 to 2 Daleks a year. Sometimes we don't grow, but this year we've got Ken and we've got Daniel, who had her Dalek in there as well. I don't know if she, that's what I call her. I don't know what she wants to be called yet. So,
okay.
She has her Dalek,
Dalek Hal.
Dalek Hal. There you go. Thanks. And
is it this one?
Yeah,
that's Dalek Hal. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a custom built Dalek by a builder from somewhere, either on Project Dalek or somewhere. She purchased that one. It's a very nice build, but on the first day we had some mechanical issues, or she had some mechanical issues with it. We had to do emergency repairs.
Oh, okay.
But that's what we do. We find trouble. We build, find, and troubleshoot our machines as they go along. This year I had some issues with mine, breaking wires, running things over, running into a wall.
Literally.
I've got a photo after that.
And breaking 2 of these.
Oh, jeez.
Paul is actually ran into.
I think that picture you just saw of her Dalek was just before she went in the elevator, and shortly after coming out of the elevator, that's when we had that wheel failure, and we were sitting in the bottom. I think we were on the first floor. Scully and I were laying on the ground underneath it. A couple of security guards came over. They came running over because they thought there was a body on the ground and someone had passed out. And they're staring at us, and we're like, "Can we help you?" And we're like, "No, we need to help you." And we're like, "No, I don't think you guys can help us." And then she finally realized it was not a body but a Dalek, and she very quickly disappeared, and we were left on our own to try to come up with a solution to get the Dalek back to the booth. So that was entertaining for 10 or 15 minutes.
That was post getting hit by the wall.
The wall.
That was after you made the turn.
Yeah, that wall just reached out and grabbed me.
I also thought, I'm going to just bring up this picture, Melanie. This was fun. I think if you go back into that other room, there was an elevator, and that Dalek just fit the elevator. I mean, there was no wiggle room. I mean, literally, I was watching it. It was just when they were backing it out over there, I felt so sorry for Hal the Dalek, because it was just they were trying to get it out, and that's one of the challenges. I would think I was just like, I wonder if they're going to try to put it up the escalator.
Well, that was when I was speaking to the coordinator, and she was trying to get the freight elevator for us. I didn't tell you guys yet because I wanted to make sure we could get the freight elevator first before I offered it to you guys. And she was in the process of trying to get the freight, because we're like, they can't fit up here. Can you help? But
it was nice to find out that's a 2005 what we call an NSD, which is a new series Dalek, and it's nice to know that NSDs, when they're built to spec, will fit through that elevator. So that was kind of nice for us to find out, because we didn't really know that. So.
Yeah, some things you have to find out the hard way. Folks, when we return, we're going to be continuing our discussion with the Dalek Builders of Florida. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and become part of the legend. Here we go.
Bateman.
What's the Bateman?
A novel set in Florida, written by Florida author D.L. Havlin. Suspense, mystery, and murder.
Evidence is in the bait.
The Bateman is available at local bookstores and online.
Jackie Sonnenberg's My Soul to Keep is a ghost story rooted in the realities of actual cults. When 13-year-old Sky Monroe arrives at her new boarding school, all she can think about is death and connecting with the afterlife. Soon she discovers her school's spirituality group, the Guardians of Light, and they have a secret. They can speak with the dead, and the organization is a cult. But this isn't Sky's only problem. The campus house where Sky resides is haunted, and even the ghosts have an agenda. They intend on getting the souls they want. Filled with mystery and intrigue plucked straight from the headlines, author Jackie Sonnenberg's research and attention to detail give this ghost story an even more eerie atmosphere. Find My Soul to Keep on Amazon.com today.
Oh, brilliant! It's hard to believe that in the 56-year history of the greatest sci-fi television show in the English language, there has never been a fan guide to Doctor Who. The official books might give you what they think you need to know, but only a guide written by a true fan will give you what you really want to know. Join Whovian, the brilliant Mackenzie Flaw, as she takes you on an intensive journey inside the world of the first female Doctor. In the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who, Season 11. Right, let's get a shift on.
If you're watching this on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page, don't thank us. Thank our friends over at GeekInsider.com. Don't forget to subscribe and tell them the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS sent you.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.
And if you're just joining us, welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basel. Thank you for those of you who are coming back to us, joining us in another episode. We have a special episode for you today. We are here with the Dalek Builders of Florida. We're here with Chad, Ken, and Mr. Paul down there. I'm trying to think. How do you do the modulation when you do the voices? What device do you use to make those voices on the Dalek?
This is what you use. So
that's
so there's a couple of ways you can do
that one.
This is the easiest way, quite frankly. So if all of us probably, I think it's fair to say, got started on Project Dalek, which is a forum specifically for Dalek builders around the world, and there are a couple of guys on the forum who are probably electrical engineers, I'm guessing, and they've built a couple of versions of a voice modulator over the years, and this one is called the Mark 6. I think it's probably the newest version of this particular model, and you could do it yourself, I guess, or you could do what I do, which is just pay these guys and they'll build one for you, and it does a bunch of things. It does voice modulation, so your voice will sound like a Dalek, which is probably the coolest thing about it. It also has inputs for your gun, for the dome, for lights, lots of other things. And so you can control a bunch of different things from this. So
yes, there's a few different versions of that one. There's other versions that were built by Fenris and Bertus, the home built versions.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that had there's a book you can buy or book you can download and buy all the parts and assemble it yourself. But the one that he just showed, like the one I have, is you have to purchase it built through the vendor or through the guy that makes them. He won't send you a kit to build it yourself. He wants to keep it proprietary.
Okay.
Makes
sense.
It's there's a lot of stuff in there that might be borrowed from other things. So I don't want to say it's illegal, but it's not.
Yeah.
It has been changed quite a bit. But the original thing that the guy that does the voice for the Daleks, he used something called a Moogerfruger ring modulator. And I have one of those, as well as an amp to go with it. And you can do the Dalek voices from just a drone up to the Emperor. And you can also do Cybermen. I think the one that you have, Ken, can do a Cyberman as well, can't it?
I think so. You can go. I haven't done it yet, but you can go in here and you can tweak. Because everybody's voice, obviously, pitch and tone is different, and so you can go in there and there are some dip switches and things you can go play with it once you connect it, and you can tweak it to get it to sound almost. Lots of different ways you can make it sound. So,
what kind of microphone do you use? Is it just
hold on a second?
Mask kind?
Yeah,
mine is an old from an old headset. Basically, it's
this particular version. Actually, he sends a headset with it. I don't know if you can see that. Not even taken out of the bag. It's literally a little it's a little headset with a mic on it, and you just plug it into one of the inputs, and you're good to go. So, there are obviously other ways you can do that, but with that particular modulator, he provides you a headset as well. So
okay.
At least that way they're matched. If you don't get your impedance matching correct, it can cause problems with feedback and other things. So
okay.
Obviously, it's you guys run panels on this, and you could go on probably for hours to tell us. But what's kind of the short version of the process that you guys go through to build one of these?
Give up the rest of your life and get in the shop and get going. Pretty much.
I should have expected that answer.
Okay, then I got to ask the question. From beginning to end, from the moment that you get all the parts and start putting things together, on average, and all three of you gentlemen can answer the question, how long did it take for you to build? Well, let's use this as an example. Your first Dalek from start to finish. How long, or how on average do you think it would take?
So I have a logbook. I've been keeping track of every minute in the shop just because it's, like I said, I have no life except doing this. And I'm going to say I'm 85% done with basic construction. So the base is done, motorization is done, skirts done, shoulders are done, neck rings are done. The dome hasn't been started yet. And so I've got 512 hours in it right now.
Wow. Okay.
So
I have to do math, but I think that's a couple of months, if I'm not mistaken. At least a month or two.
So I literally started on January 1st, 2020, and for the first year, I worked Saturday and Sunday. I put in several hours every Saturday and Sunday, and during the week, here and there when I could, because I was still working. Now that I'm retired, I've got more time, and so what I'm doing is I'm literally committed to 1 hour every day, at least, working on it, right? And sometimes I'll put in more, sometimes less, what's going on. But right now, I've committed to 1 hour a day so that I know I'm going to put in 7 hours a week, because I really want to get it done by the end of the year so I can start driving around the neighborhood and scaring the heck out of people, right?
Yes. Exterminate.
That's right.
Now, a good way to point that out is, I know, like, if you worked full time, so if you work full time, 40 hours a week, 40 hours, 5 days a week, for a full year, that breaks down to about it's 2,080 hours So if you've already got 500, that's a quarter of that hours, and you're only 85% done. That's for anybody that's listening, that's like working at your full-time job for 3 months.
Yep.
That's as far as he's gone.
And 85% is only basic construction, right? There's been no painting, there's been no priming, and for me, all the mechanization, the robotic stuff, I've yet to do. And so I am going to do pretty much full up robotics. I'm going to have a actual functioning iris. The gun's going to do a bunch of different things. The plunger's going to be working on a mechanical extend and retraction, the dome, all that kind of stuff. And so I've got to mechanize all that. So the 85% done is a little bit of misnomer. That's basic construction.
Right.
He's only 10% done.
Yeah. And a cooling system for you.
I just acquired the fans for the cooling system.
That's important.
Yeah.
Especially in Florida.
Very important piece of the construction, by the way. Very important.
I learned from Paul and Scully. That's like the piece of the pie there. It's like you need to have that.
You must have fresh air.
Yeah, you cannot imagine. Maybe you can how hot it is inside that thing. I mean,
it's. If your fans fail in the sun, you are toast in about 5 minutes.
Now let me ask this. I'm trying to. What's a common wardrobe malfunction of a Dalek? Well, like, what is the biggest challenge when you put that Dalek together and everything's up? But you know what? This is the part, or this is the piece, or this is the item that doesn't just want to work with everything. What is like the most common challenge wardrobe malfunction of a Dalek?
I will tell you, construction-wise, the shoulders are by far the most complex part of major construction. I mean, I've been working on the shoulders for months, and while the basic form is done, there are so many bits and pieces to it, and there's so many compound angles, and there's nothing straight in it that there's a lot of back and forth to make every little piece line up and get it correctly. And so I've been spending an inordinate amount of time trying to get those to my particular satisfaction where I'm happy with it and I can leave it alone. I don't know what the other guys think when they were doing theirs, but for me, the shoulders are by far the most difficult part.
I have to agree with that. My shoulders were a giant pain, as well as fitting the slats.
Yes, and that's the biggest. Building the shoulder was actually not that big a deal. It's fitting the slats that I've literally spent months, and I'm still not done with it. I'm still not happy. I've got, of the 13 slats, 8 of them fit perfectly, and 5 I still that's that 1 hour a day I go in there. Yep. And my current new cunning plan is I work on one slat at a time, and I'm not leaving it until it's done and it's perfect. Then I'm going to the next one. I used to work on them all at the same time, and it was driving me nuts. So
you must number them.
And
number them.
Yeah, and large cans of Bondo. That's also
large cans of Bondo.
Yeah, Daleks don't work without Bondo.
So just for not everyone can see this, but so people who can visualize this, what is the shoulder part of a Dalek? Because that looks just like a big cone to a lot of people.
Well, the shoulder is the part that the appendages are sticking out of. So the gun box is part of the shoulder, as well as the slats. Yeah. Above it is the neck rings and the neck bin. Above that is the dome. Below the shoulder is the skirt section, and below that is the base or the skirt or the fender.
The skirts have the hemispheres, or we call them hemis for short. That's the skirt.
And getting the skirt, when you got flat panels you're trying to make go around a radius or a faceted shape, and none of the angles are the same, there's this thing we call the X factor. You have to put a twist in some of those panels. Only 5 of those panels go on straight. All the other ones are twisted. Yes, they're twisted.
It's pretty complex. And the thing that Paul was talking about with the shoulder, because the shoulder it's a compound curve. There's no straight anything in it, and the slats are all rectangular pieces. So now you got to fit a rectangular object on a curved surface, and the curve changes as you go around the circumference of the shoulder, and you got to make them all look right. They got to line up. They got to be the same height, the same width apart, and so it is quite the challenge. And it's very obvious if one or more are off, and so you really got to spend some time fiddling with that to get those to line up. But
yes, and if you put one in the wrong place, you'll know almost immediately,
right?
Because they will not fit.
It's the same with the hemispheres. If you look at them, right, they're all vertically the same and horizontally the same, and to get those to line up, it's very obvious if you get one or two out of place, and so you take great care when you drill those holes to line those things up.
Yes.
Now, just seeing what had happened at MegaCon and with the hemispheres, I imagine that part of the skirt is the thing that has the most damage, the risk of damage than anything. How do you build them so that they're replaceable?
Like this.
I'll tell you how I build mine. And there's the hemispheres on an NSD are typically, we use from Amazon a clear plastic 4-inch Christmas ball. You can buy them on Amazon, big lots of them, and they're halves. So they come in half. They're exactly the right size. And so what I did is I took a bolt, I flattened the end of the bolt, I epoxied it to the bottom of the clear plastic half bin, and then I filled that with expanding foam. And I don't have any with me. And then as Paul's showing, you drill a hole in the side of the skirt for the bolt, and then you bolt it on the inside, and you put that ring on the outside is actually a high pressure oil seal from one company in the UK who makes them, and that just sits on the outside of that, and then you can remove them just by unscrewing them. So if you do break one, we got to replace them. They're very easy.
Wow.
And they take paint really well.
Oh, wow. It was going to be my next question, was like, how well did they take paint?
If you have to sand them, you have to do a couple of different grits, usually about 220 or 400, and you get a nice and smooth. They look like they look like this matte finish right here. Some people paint them on the inside, and others paint them on the outside. I paint mine on the outside. Some people painted theirs on the inside, because on some of them, this one here has a luster on the inside, so the paint won't stick. So I sanded the outside, and you do a primer coat. If you have defects, you sand, do another primer coat, then you paint. But you got to remember, you have to, when you're painting them, you either paint them one at a time in one hand while you're spraying them and twisting them, or you spray them at angles, 4 separate angles, because you will get if you don't do it correctly, you'll get runs, and they'll look like an amateur. But we are all amateurs at this, but by the end, you're a professional.
Yeah, the painting is the skill. If I would say the one skill that you really want to work on if you want to build a Dalek is painting. You can have a spectacular construction, and if it's a lousy paint job, no one will ever notice it. And the reverse is true. You can have an average constructed Dalek, and if you have a spectacular paint job, no one will have any idea because of the paint job. So it behooves you to spend some effort learning to paint, get comfortable with a spray gun. And some guys do it with rattle cans. I can't do that. I'm a spray gun guy. So, but priming, sanding, more sanding, priming, more sanding, and then painting.
If you
I'm out.
Are the Daleks all wood? Are you using plywood? Are you using MDF? Are you looking at other materials?
Yes,
it's a combination. So
all the above.
Yeah. If so, look at mine as an example. The base is 3/4-inch marine plywood. The skirt is a plywood frame surrounded by 1/8-inch MDF. The shoulders is a plywood frame surrounded by what's called bendy MDF. It's 1/4-inch bendy MDF. The neck rings are MDF, and the dome is going to actually be made fiberglass. That's a typical construction method.
We
got to go to a commercial. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
My dome is fiberglass as well. my skirt section is a really nice plywood that I got. I scrounged from a shipping container. It's like 7-ply birch. It's nice. All the horizontal paneling for support systems are 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch plywood to 3/4 inch, as well as the shoulder section is multiple layers of brown hardboard that you use for paneling sometimes. You just have to bend it really slowly and keep it moist. Otherwise it'll snap on you.
Hey, Christian, I sent you a couple of pictures. I don't know if you have them. You can see some of the fabric, the type of materials, I think, from a couple of those, if you got those.
Okay. What I'll do is this. Melanie, can you run the commercials for me?
Yeah, sure. Let me remember how to do that.
No, that's fine. I'll go ahead and put the intro and you just run the commercials after that. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tune in. I'm going to pull over the pictures in just a moment. Please stand by.
This is Cosplay Michael with the
I gotta go, guys.
So, I want to tell you about my friends at Embellis Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellis Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellis Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embelliseffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
Author Cindy Koepp is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Koepp at CKOEPP.com today.
Meet the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
But not the one you were expecting.
All right, sexy. It's time to go home.
Doctor Who Velocity. Streaming now.
The massive audio Doctor Who Bad Wolf Bluetooth TARDIS speaker. That's all I gotta say, one word. Wow. It looks like it just jumped right off the screen. Here it is in all its Bad Wolf glory. Right here is the on-off switch and the up and down volume. Right here's the speaker. The TARDIS stands about 6 inches from the bottom of the TARDIS all the way up to the top where the light is. Look at the detail. Wow.
And that is with, where is it? Gosh, I gotta get there. There we go. Amazon.com/FameTek. Just go to Amazon.com/FameTek. They have the wireless Weeping Angel charger as well as that speaker that you just saw. Check them out over at Amazon.com/FameTek, spelled FAMETEK. Let them know that the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS sent you. Hi there, folks. My name is Christian Basel, and welcome back. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to Chad, but we still have Mr. Paul and
Chad.
Dalek Builders, talking more about their craft out there.
I don't send pictures to you.
Yeah, they're working. Oh, you can send them to the email. Ken sent them to me. I got one of them up, so let me go ahead and bring that one up. Boom.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting picture because if you're looking to make what we call a screen accurate Dalek, which is kind of what a lot of us strive to do in one form or another, there are specific parts that you need to put on your Dalek. Mm-hmm. So these light domes, as they're called, mm-hmm. The white part is the light dome. That was actually, I 3D printed that on a printer. But the other parts, the actual clear dome, the brass base, and the bulb are kind of interesting because the dome, or the clear part, is called a MoFlash lens. It's a company, again, over in the UK that makes lenses for the marine industry, automotive, all kinds of things. And that particular lens, they stopped making it in, I think, 2007. And so you were trying to source them. It was virtually impossible. Well, I got lucky one late night on eBay. Some gentleman was selling these original lenses, and so I grabbed them. But the actual light itself, that is a brass base, again, from a company in the UK. Because, right, since the show is from the UK, the prop makers, they sourced a lot of their stuff from mom and pop places, electrical shops, Kmart, you name it, but they're all in the UK. And so a lot of it we can't get here. Well, I sourced those particular brass bolts from the UK, but they're 12 volt bases. And you need a bulb, obviously that's 12 volt, and it needs to be round. Well, I couldn't find a 12 volt round bulb that was screen accurate. So we got a little clever and we made our own. What you're looking at there is actually a automotive LED light surrounded by ping pong ball. And here's what it looks like. So this is the one.
I'm just going to take the picture down there and show you. There you go.
And literally, so that piece there, right there, is an automotive LED light that you can get online at Amazon for any American car. And then all I did is I cut a hole, and if I can get it the right way here, let's look at it that way. I cut a hole in the base, put the bulb in there, a little bit of hot glue, and now that bulb fits on that brass bayonet that came from the UK, and no one will be able to tell you that that's not an actual light globe. And the LED is so bright that it shines through that ping pong ball, no problem at all.
Yep, that's how they did it with they used an incandescent light, but they also did it with the same way. If they couldn't find that bulb, that's how they ended up doing it, with a ping pong ball and a light bulb.
That is insane.
Sometimes you got to get clever.
Yeah.
And the modulator that you use is made so that when you hook it up to the light, as you talk, it'll kind of do the flashing for you.
Yes, it has in my modulator. It has a light to sound or a sound to light circuit, so that when you're talking, it converts that to an electrical impulse, and the lights will flash like on a real Dalek when you talk. Absolutely.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, mine are made from LEDs, super bright LED that I bought at Home Depot, and I used a Christmas light lens with some packaging material from 2 router bits to make my lenses, because I didn't have the MoFlash lenses, and so I had to make my own. And I've had comments on my dome lights that they look kind of steampunkish, but they're, it's use what you have.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, there are somebody on Project Dalek made a 3D file of the MoFlash lenses. So now if you have a 3D printer, you can actually, and you're good at 3D printing with clear materials, you can actually 3D print those MoFlash lenses as well. And a lot of guys who can't source the lenses but are good with 3D printing are printing those lenses. And I've seen a couple of them. They actually look, it'd be hard to tell that they're not the actual MoFlash lens from the company. So
I've 3D printed a couple of those, and they come out okay, but I didn't want to use them because they weren't clear enough.
Yeah, you really got to play with it. It's kind of like one of the other things that we do a lot of originally, things like the plunger and the eye stalk, that guys were actually and gals were actually making them from scratch using EBA foam and plastic and stuff. Well, come along with 3D printing, we can now print these parts 3D printing.
Wow. I was literally going to ask him, like, what parts can that with 3D printing happening, that you're like, yes, I can 3D print this and not have to manipulate whatever material from scratch.
Hey, Mark.
So there's actually 2 guys on Project Dalek who are 3D printing an entire Dalek from scratch. It's
nice.
Crazy.
Seriously.
The dome too? They have a bed big enough for this?
Well, what they're doing, what they're doing is like they're, like the shoulder is 35 different pieces that they're printing, and they're going to put them together, things like that. But yeah, those guys are insane. But this particular plunger, what I wanted to do is because, lots of people love to interact with the plunger on a Dalek, particularly kids. To make it a little bit safer, and so I wanted a flexible version, and so this one, as you can see, is actually flexible, it's printed out of a 3D material called TPU, and so it's actually flexible. Everything else.
Know that you could print stuff that's flexible with that.
Yeah,
I know nothing about 3D printing. I really don't, and it's intriguing.
It's quite the process. There's a lot to being able to make 3D printing. Flexible stuff is really, really a pain. Printing it strictly out of PLA like this eye socket is pretty straightforward. It's easy to work with. If you got a good file, put it on your printer, print, go, come back in the morning, and it's done. It's not that big a deal.
There's only one danger with PLA.
What's that?
What's that?
Temperature.
Heat. Temperature. Don't leave it in your car.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Hello. Oh God. Hello, Florida. Imagine having to move,
Dalek.
transport anything.
That'll be a warped Dalek.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened? Like, has somebody transported a Dalek like in a trailer and forgot to take a piece that that's not in temperature controlled inside of AC and going, uh-oh.
I've had stuff on my little astromech warp from the heat, but what the warpage happened was manageable because it didn't really change much. But if it was a large piece, you have to remember wood, plastic, metal, they all move with heat and they all move differently.
Right. So you were asking about parts that we 3D print versus construct. So I'll tell you what I did, and Paul can tell you what he did. So the things that I 3D printed on my Dalek, starting from the bottom up. So didn't 3D print anything on the base or the skirt. On the shoulders, I 3D printed the plunger. And then I 3D printed all the slats. And then I, on the neck rings there, if you look at where the vertical posts on the neck rings intersect the ring, there is a little, the name of it escapes me, but there's a little piece that goes on each one to kind of,
a shim or something.
Yeah, and so I 3D printed all of those. The eyeball, the eye socket is 3D printed. The the light domes, the cages themselves are 3D printed. The mechanism that is going to be used to rotate the eye stalk is 3D printed. This is an internal piece. You really can't see it, but it's going to be 3D printed, and then the actual piece that the stalk gets inserted into, I 3D printed that as well. And that's about it. There probably going to be some internal pieces that are 3D printed as well, but exterior-wise, that was it.
What do you do to kind of smooth those out? Because I know there's a couple of different methods.
Sandpaper.
Just sanding it. Oh boy.
Wow.
Yeah, I know there are guys that do the bath in I forget what liquid they're using, but
the vapor bath is usually used for acetone, but PLA.
Yeah, the acetone bath. I tried that. Was not real thrilled with it. I'm a custom woodworker from long ago, so I just get out the sandpaper. PLA sand's really nice.
Yeah.
So you just take some time and work it. So
fill sand, repeat.
And Bondo was your friend if you had imperfections. Actually, they make a modeler's putty, comes in a little tube. The thing about Bondo, right, is you can make, it's really hard to make little tiny batches of it. Well, this modeler's putty, it's not two-part, and so you can take little tiny pieces of it, and if it's got little tiny imperfections, you can cover that up and then sand it. It works really well for little detail work. So that helps a lot as well.
These people are things you use to seal. There's other things you can use to seal 3D prints. There's a product called XTC, and there's a few other products that are used as a filler or a coating. That once it is a two-part, you paint it on really thin, then you sand, and you can paint over it, or you can fill over it and then paint again. But it helps fill in those large voids in a 3D print. It also binds it together a little bit better, so it doesn't break.
Okay.
So I'm thinking to myself, a 3D print an entire Dalek, could that sustain itself? It sounds like it's going to be a monster.
It depends what material you make it of. I don't know if they're making it out of PLA or whether they're picking a different material, because there are 3D materials that are not heat and temperature sensitive. that they could make it have. They're a little harder to work with than PLA is. But
there's PET-G. There are guys that are making large props out of PET-G. There's a droid that's made out of PET-G. The entire droid is made out of PET-G, but that's another process. So if they can make one of those, they weigh almost 200 pounds. You can print a Dalek. You can print the main details of the Dalek in PET-G, but I would probably use something to reinforce it so it has a more structural stability, because you never know. A flat piece of plastic will bend.
Mm-hmm.
We got a question from Mark Robinson. He says, have the Florida Dalek Builders heard of the Scaro UK Dalek Builders? Do you guys talk to each other in other countries, in other sectors, and other states?
Have.
Cool.
There's a guy that's on Facebook. He does a weekly podcast about his Dalek, and there's a few other ones. We get them through Project. We can find them through Project Dalek, and we can also find them through Facebook just by doing a simple search. But yes, I have heard of the Sons of Scarlet Dalek Builders.
Yeah, I interact a lot with individual builders through Project Dalek, and so that's kind of, well, it's Dalek Central, and so everybody who's building a Dalek has probably been on there one time or another, and so
the go-to source.
Yeah, if you've got issues or questions, that is the place to go to, because somebody has probably dealt with whatever issue you're trying to deal with and can point you in the right direction.
And guys, I'm going to hold you because in commercial, and Melanie will bring back to Carl's question about the Daleks. We're just going to run the commercials when we return. Plus, we have a special video for you. If you didn't catch it the last time that we had the MegaCon special, you're going to catch it this time, how a Dalek invaded one of our panels. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and become part of the legend.
This is Cosplay Michael with the Hanging with Web Show. I want to tell you about my friends at Embellis Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellis Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellis Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embelliseffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomacher, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com.
It's coming soon. Doctor Who Worlds Apart. That's DoctorWho-WorldsApart.com. Check it out. Sign up. Go over there. Get your 10 Pandex daily, because you can use those to get your own cards. You can play for free, but if you want the really good stuff, you may just want to spend a little bit extra on those packets that they've got, and they've got special packets that they only release periodically. So check it out. DoctorWho-WorldsApart.com. Also, if you want to become part of the legend, please make sure you write to either myself or Sage at Hanging With Show, spelled HANGIN withshow.com. Again, HANGIN withshow.com. You get special rates and special rates as far as posting on our Facebook page, as far as posting on our YouTube channel, as well as our videos that you see here. And don't forget to There it is. It's 20 TARDIS 25. Go to wizardworld.com, go inside the vault, and get 25% off merchandise at wizardworld.com into their vault. Remember to use our promo code TARDIS25 for 25% off. Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christian Basel, and welcome back. We're here wrapping up our final segment with the Dalek Builders of Florida with Ken. Chad is back, and Mr. Paul. Yeah, and I do have a question for Chad before he loses it again, but let me go ahead and bring up Carl's question. Hang on a second, let me find that.
Got it.
Thank you, my dear. Carl Whitman asked, what is the cost difference? I think a 3D printed Dalek would be expensive. I would go the other way. I would think it'd be a little bit cheaper, but what do you guys say?
Anything about 3D printing, so I really don't know.
You know what? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to guess that it probably, if you ignore the cost of the printer and just the materials, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to guess it's probably a wash, believe it or not, because you got to buy plywood. When you buy all those materials, there's some reasonable cost to all that stuff as well. Mm-hmm. And then if you ignore all that and you just buy, rolls of 3D printed material, I'm going to guess it's probably not all that different, believe it or not. I don't know. Okay. What do you think, Paul?
I think depending on the material, so depending on the cost of, PLA is relatively inexpensive. The ABS don't know the cost of ABS at the moment, or the PETG. But if you're going to do one material for the whole thing versus building it out of wood or metal or a combination thereof, it's a toss-up. There are great things that a 3D printer can do, and there are other things that wood is better for, and there's other things that metal is better for. Gotcha. Yeah. My machine has everything but 3D printing in it. It has steel, it has aluminum, it has plastic, it has plumbing parts in it that you won't know are plumbing parts. It also has plywood and MDF.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. The guys who do the 3D printing, right? They don't have access to a shop, so they don't really necessarily know anything about woodworking or metalworking or anything. But they're wizards with a 3D printer, and they said, I'll just build this out of 3D printing. And my hat's off to them, because I certainly could never do that. I could never make a Dalek out of 3D print. It would take me 10 years to figure that out. But these guys they understand 3D modeling, and they're making their own files, and they're having that. It's kind of cool to watch them do it, actually.
I'd love to see a full-size 3D printed Dalek, one that you can get in and drive. Otherwise, it most likely will be a remote-controlled one.
Well, I don't remember if these guys are planning to be RC or whether they're operating on the inside. That's an interesting question. So,
actually, I just want to get to one comment. The 11th Doctor's comment. These are Florida Daleks, so they like sand, they like surf, they like Disney World, they like bikinis. They're safe around here, and they go to conventions. So these are the safe ones. Chad,
there are no safe Daleks. Sorry.
Oh, the nice Daleks. How about that? We'll leave it at that there. Chad, I feel so bad that you were having some technical issues, but I do want to address a special Dalek that you are making. I didn't know if you want to announce it on the show over here that you're working on. Can we?
Yes.
Absolutely. Please talk about it.
So I work for the fire department, and I'm doing a new series style Dalek, but I'm giving it a little bit of a twist. I'm giving a fire truck theme. So it's going to be painted to look like a fire engine, and instead of the gun and the suction cup, it's going to have an axe and a fire hose. I got a little siren for it to make it, sound like I'm going down the street. And,
cool.
Got diamond plate for the bumper, or for the fender, whatever you want to call it. So it's if I ever finish it, it's going to look really nice, I hope.
And it's not going to be a weapon that it's going to have. It's going to have something different, being a fire.
Right, it's going to be a fire hose and an axe instead of the gun and the suction.
I can't wait to see that. I mean, it's like something burning, and then a Dalek shows up. The first time ever that I'd like to call emergency services, and here comes a Dalek out of nowhere on the fire truck putting out the fire. Yeah, that's going to be
Scarrow Fire Department.
Scarrow Fire Department.
Yeah. And that diamond plate looks really cool. I mean, he had it finished at MegaCon through there, and it looks sharp. It looks really good.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to wrap it up over here. Don't forget to join over at the Dalek Builders. Let me bring up the banner. There it is. Go to their Facebook page.com/FL Daleks. That's Facebook.com/FL Daleks. Gentlemen, before we put the video on, do you have any last minute things you want to tell our audience before we go?
We are also on Instagram, Daleks of Florida.
And check out their Instagram on Daleks of Florida. Good. Gentlemen,
don't be afraid. Build a Dalek. We need more.
Yeah, don't be intimidated. It's not that difficult to do. And in fact, if you're at our if you're at our booth, there's a Dalek made completely 100% out of cardboard. So it can be done very simply.
TV.
And I'm going to wrap it up with this. You guys actually built some other things. I did post it, show it earlier. Well, this is actually one of my favorite pictures.
That's TV.
That's
the cardboard Dalek.
That's the car. Oh, that is the cardboard.
That's the cardboard. 100% cardboard. Literally.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, that's amazing.
That is amazing. That is cool. And if you're lucky enough to go and see us, you'll see them at a convention near you. Again, don't forget to join up on their Instagram and on their Facebook page. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Ken, Paul, Chad, stand by. We're going to wrap it up, but we want to show everybody what it looks like during one of our panels, if you're lucky enough to see a Dalek, an invasion. Please continue to stay logged on, tune in, and become part of the legend. The after party begins right after the video.
This panel I've ever.
Oh,
would you like to moderate? Oh my God.
Yes. Can we have a Dalek moderating first? Oh my goodness.
This might be the greatest moment of my life.
This is.
It might be the last moment.
It might also be my last.
Probably the last moment of our lives, ladies.
Yes.
At the conclusion of this panel, everyone here will be exterminated. Oh, goody. Exterminate. This is amazing. Save it on right now.
Let's get that banner down. Had so many pictures I couldn't even control that thing. Gentlemen, if you want to stay, we're only going to stay a half hour if anybody wants to chat with us. And I noticed we had a lot of doctors show up in the chat the last half hour.
Last minute. Oh God, the doctors are all here.
Go ahead, put them up there. And I just want to say something to the 11th Doctor. They're okay. Just come on down to Florida when you get a chance.
You're here, baby. Hold on. Go ahead. Sorry, I got to talk to the doctor. See? No, you're here.
There you go.
Moved. You're just stuck on the wall.
Gentlemen, I don't know if you've watched the show, but we have all 13 doctors, including the war doctor, show up. And they vie for Melanie's wall. Not just her affections, but the wall.
The wall. They want the wall.
They want the wall.
So here we go. Yes, there's a lot. Oh God, there's a lot of comments. Why? No, you're there. You're there. She did it again. Yes, I did. Well, oops. I have. Oops. Sorry. Don't. Here we go. Start doctors.
They do start. Gentlemen, I do have a question. Where I got to ask, and we are in the after show, so it's not part of the audio podcast. But if you don't want to answer, what's the most tragic thing that's happened to a Dalek during a convention, or just in general? What's the most tragic thing that's happened to you guys?
Do you really want to know?
Yes, I do. Yes. That's why I asked. And some of these doctors.
Scully's Dalek.
Oh no!
At Dragon Con, on its first adventure out, had a tragic. What do you want to call it?
At Dragon Con or on the way?
It was at Dragon Con. He was on the way to the parade, to go to the parade.
Okay.
Start of the parade. He hit a curb or something, and his pivot, basically his shoulder was open, and the cable either broke or snapped, and he had a spontaneous disassembly of his shoulder section and part of his dome. He lost his dome. His eye stalk broke through out of his dome, and his shoulder section separated from the main part, or separated at the hinge from the skirt.
Is it this Dalek?
It's the gold and black. Yes. That is it after repair.
Wow.
Ah!
That you see where the hinge point is, where he's sitting in there.
Yeah.
That chain that's holding it up snapped, and it went all the way back, and the dome hit the ground, broke off, broke his eye stalk, and broke his eye stalk mount. He had to make repairs.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
was he able to do a quick fix over at the con, or is that just gone?
No, that was a fatal. The con was out of acting for the rest of the con.
Oh God!
And he wasn't.
So from that point on, everyone now has like a quick Davros costume that they can throw on, at least so that they can have the top piece at the ready.
Well, there's that, but we also don't use cheap chain. We use a nice, sturdy chain with sturdy anchor points, and that way, when you open the machine up, it will set back. It's not, the weight is just barely on it, so if you move forward and stop, it'll close on you.
Yeah.
So you don't want it all the weight hanging on the chain. You want some of the weight on the chain and most of the weight on the hinge. Mine has had, I've had close to issues, but I did open it one time and I forgot that I didn't have my dome attached. And as I opened it, the dome slid off the back of the Dalek down a wall and broke my eye stalk and cracked a couple of the some of the pieces on the eye stalk. But
my soul is hurting.
Huh? Your soul?
My soul is hurting.
My soul is hurting for knowing that kind of catastrophic failure, not failure, but catastrophic damage of your work. And also my soul's hurting because the doctors are all shouting at one another, yelling at me because of the art.
Oh, 10 says you hurt him big
The
time.
most common issue I have are these.
Are those kind of just
the ones that you saw me break are usually the ones that I get that usually get broke. Either those or the ones in front of it or ones behind them. So I have extras of these in a box in my kit for the cons.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 20 or 30 of these. They're already made up, ready for that event in case somebody's kid decides to climb on my Dalek and watch me come unglued, but I calm down later after I go into my box and
hit them with their little claw thing. Just
the claw thing. That claw may come off of my machine because this con I was in it and a couple guys wanted to play with my claw while I was in the Dalek, and I told them stop doing that, and they just took it as a challenge. I had to yell, and I didn't like that. But some people have no respect for other people's props.
Is that the point where you literally just like, you know what, I got to take the modulator off and just start shouting myself? Maybe if they hear my real voice, they'll stop? Yes. Or do the part where when you open it up and realize, I'm here, now you're within swinging range.
If I have to open up and let them see me, the first thing's coming out is my arm, and it's probably going to grab them, and I'm probably going to get in trouble. So I try not to let that happen.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We usually like to have handlers with us when we go out as well, so that to try to avoid those kind of catastrophic issues, keep people at a reasonable distance, particularly kids and stuff. But sometimes, you get big crowds around, it's tough to control everybody, and somebody sneaks into, gets a little close, and you got to do what you can. But it's unfortunate.
You just have to come to the conclusion that everybody at a con is a child.
Just electrify the entire outside.
Well, I was going to put a stun gun on mine. Yep.
You should.
Yeah.
You should have like some green Jello. So if somebody tries to open up the con, you just throw it out.
Since we had so many comments from the doctors, I just want them to see why I no longer have the 10th painting behind me. That's because it's sold. That is the lovely woman named Vicky who purchased the 10th Doctor painting at MegaCon. That was signed by David Tennant. So
awesome.
She said she took a lovely photo of just her being happy and pleased as punch. And then my booth babe, Steve, basically said, now let's do one with you gloating. And that's the photo she sent. And that's the one I'm showing. So sorry, 10, you now belong to Vicky and are hanging, adorning her wall. But still have you guys. So
awesome.
There you go. I knew it. Sorry, babe. I'll paint you another one.
You are on somebody else's wall, and it's not like she can't make another. So you'll be.
I'm sure that'll happen too.
Why? What have I done to you? You made me money, is what you made. Okay, buddy. Sorry, I have a price. That's what you did.
And before we go, so instead of going down that road, we're going to not talk about Melanie's price. On the more happy side, what's the most kind of unique, as far from screen accurate Dalek design you've ever seen? Not counting the firefighter one that's being worked on, obviously.
You'd have to go to Project Dalek to look at it, but there's two pictures of a steampunk Dalek, and it is the most amazing piece of mechanical gobbledygook I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's just and everything works on it as well. It's just I don't think I have a picture of it to show, but it's unbelievable. I mean, you take 800 hours to build a regular screen accurate Dalek. That guy probably put in 4 times that to make that thing. Just amazing.
Wow. I saw one that looked like R2.
Yep.
Really? A Dalek that looked like R2?
Yep.
Painted that way. It's even got the legs.
Yep. Yeah.
They go down the side of the skirt.
I believe that we get a picture of it on our Instagram.
Oh my god.
There's also a Tiki Dalek, and it can actually lower its dome to go do the limbo.
I want to see that one. That
what?
Yes. That one's on Project Dalek as well. Just Google Tiki Dalek.
It's sad. It's like I'm sitting here going, I clearly have to run the show, but I also want to be Googling right now and loading these photos up.
Did he leave?
He done ran away. I don't know.
Ran away.
He ran away real quick. He'll be back.
There
he's back. Now I can Google stuff. So there's been a Tiki Dalek, an R2D2 Dalek.
Yep.
A steampunk Dalek.
Here's a picture of it, if you can see it.
Oh my lord.
Oh wow.
Nice.
That looks like almost like a special weapons Dalek.
I love how it's like the dome isn't all the way done. It's kind of open. That's
it does look like it could be a special weapons Dalek. That's pretty nice. Is that answering Mark's question about what was the weirdest Dalek you ever made?
Mm-hmm.
Now they want my wall. It's like my wall's taken too.
Wow! If anyone could see the, let me see if I can't make this one big. Oh wait, wrong button. Sorry. I was gonna try to make it bigger. Okay.
See how it feels?
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
Thank you, people out there. I got a question for you, gentlemen. If you had your ultimate wish, what would you want to do with your Daleks? Where would you want to take them? What would you want them to be a part of at that moment?
One of the shows.
On TV? You actually have them premiere on
Trade
one
them
of
up, send them to the UK, and let's do an episode. Absolutely. That would be the coolest thing because we get to be inside him, right?
Yeah.
True.
And drive him around on set. That would be, for me, that would be the coolest thing. Sign me up.
There are a few that have been on from Project Dalek that have been on the show that have had screen time. But I think it was the Asylum episode. They didn't have enough Daleks, so they asked the Project Dalek people of the UK if they could use some of their machines, and some of them actually have screen time.
Nice.
A few of them, not all of them.
Yeah, they have a little advantage over us since they don't have to cross the pond to get there.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the problem.
That makes sense. Since a lot of like even the Star Wars properties and stuff like that, when they're like, "Hey, we need people. We need more. We need more extras." It's like, quick, call the 50 first. They've already got the costumes that are screen accurate.
Now, if they did if Doctor Who decided to do something up here in the States, I'm game for that.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Tell me where to go.
That episode of The Mandalorian, right? Where that was a 501st guys all doing that. I mean, that was pretty cool. Yeah, we need to convince the BBC to come over to the States and do an episode here, and then we can all show up.
Mm-hmm. Well, because I know even if they came over and started doing stuff more, like even at the convention, at the cons that's not just San Diego Comic-Con, when you have the Finding a TARDIS from there. Yeah. But no, if they did more stuff, BBC sanctioned more stuff that rather than the actors kind of coming over and doing their thing.
Right.
I'm also thinking about you guys entering John Barrowman's one of his shows and just bringing the Daleks.
So, it's funny you mention him. He actually has a Dalek. Yeah. It is in significant disrepair, and he's been not interested in shipping it over to the States because he doesn't have any way to work on it. Well, after talking to us, he figured out that we could probably help him, and he's been considering, I don't know if he'll ever actually do it, but he was talking about having the Dalek shipped over and having us help him put it back in whatever condition he wants it, because his idea is he wants to have conventions pay to ship it to conventions when he shows up so he can use it at conventions, but it's not in the condition to do that at the moment.
Oh, okay.
It's actually in California.
That's where he lives out there now.
Yeah. So I don't know if it'll
that
ever
would be
happen.
amazing, at least to help him or build with him, or at least, even if it's a contract kind of thing, depending on the schedule, whatever you work out, to be able to work on, somebody who's in Doctor Who's Dalek.
Yeah, his when I chatted with him, his idea was to ship it to us and then tell us what he wanted, because he doesn't want it to it's got some history because it's been on the show, so there's only certain things he wants done to it, but he does want it to be functional, whatever that means to him. And so when I was chatting with him, it was like, yeah, I'll ship it to you guys and I'll tell you what I want done, and you guys could probably do that out. And I was like, yeah, we could probably figure that out if you really wanted to, if you ever decided to do that. So who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Now I just had this image of a Dalek with a TARDIS dress on. Just going around with it. Oh, wow. Melanie,
I can only imagine.
I always picture like a bunch of Pokeballs. Just pick up a Pokemon themed one, and like
gotta catch them all.
Rig it so some of them can pop open and have a little, Pikachu pop out or something. Yeah, it would work, right?
You never know. I wouldn't put anything past them, right?
It's an Easter egg. What was that game on? What was that game? Oh, The Price is Right, where they had all those. You punch a hole in the piece of paper and you would get a prize if there was a prize behind it. It'd be the same thing with the Dalek balls. It's like an Easter egg, literally an Easter egg.
There you go.
That'd be hilarious.
So, what is the next conventions for you guys? What's coming up where the Daleks are going to be?
We're doing the Orlando Maker Fair in November.
Okay. Where is that?
It's at the fairground. Which fairground is it at?
Fairgrounds, yeah.
It's at the Orlando or the fairgrounds over off of Colonial.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's going to be the second weekend of November.
13, 14 November, I think.
Yep. And we're going to be, and Karina's going to be bringing CV, and anybody and if anybody has a partial build, you are welcome to bring that. She wants us to bring our partial builds. I have a half scale that I'm working on. That's what these parts are. This is a half scale exterminator.
Okay.
And a half scale eye stock.
Is that the piece from like a paint roller?
No. People use those.
Okay.
But this is custom made. I made all these parts.
Okay.
I made all the parts that are here. And this is a half size eye stock.
Ooh.
Versus a full size eye stock.
Ooh.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
This is my new eye stock eventually. You also learn how to build extra parts for things like it broke.
Yeah. Now, do you tend to always just keep upgrading the one that you have, or is it something where you're like, you know what, I'm going to keep upgrading, but now I have an idea for another, a specific mark of, parts?
I think that depends on the builder. Most of my stuff is constantly under construction or constantly being modified or changed or repaired. Obviously, I need to make more hemispheres because I broke into. So I have to replace those. So I have those in backup. I've come to a decision on my machine that I'm going to have to make a modification to the skirt, because either there's two things I either need to do. One or two things I need to do to it is either take the base off and incorporate the drive into the skirt, or I need to cut the skirt and make it so I can enter it from the front, because climbing in it now is becoming harder because there's this thing called age.
These things called knees.
Knees don't bend the way they used to. Hips don't bend. My size has changed. Basically,
well, I noticed that one of the Daleks that the top piece had was lifted completely up and off.
Yeah,
some of them kind of went.
Yep, those are if you have people around you to help you. The ones that separate from the shoulder section, you lift the shoulder section off, is always nice because there's people there to help you. But if you don't have anybody to help you climb in and out, it's always nice to have a tilt frame or an open skirt front frame like Chad's doing.
And her Dalek is fiberglass, so that it's fairly light to pick up that shoulder and do it. I can tell you mine. For instance, I would never be able to do that. Mine will be connected like Paul's and Scully's and other ones because there's no way. And I want to be able to be independent where if there's no one around, I can climb in on my own, close it and take off and go. So that kind of necessitates you putting it together like that. But
your build, your build or your ability determines your build in most cases. So how are you going to transport it? How are you going to operate it? And do you have help?
So, my current plan, and we'll see how this works out, is I've laid out all the specifics electromechanical, and I'm going to build them all, if you will, at once, as opposed to doing some basic stuff and then planning upgrades in another year or so after that. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to incorporate a airplane flight control stick with the wheelchair system so that I can operate everything on the Dalek with a single hand.
With a single hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you'll have a hat. You'll have a stick that has front, back, left, right with a twist and a hat, correct?
So my background in the military is going to help me. So if you look, this is a F-15 flight control stick. So trigger.
Oh my God.
Coolie hat up and down, and then some buttons. And so with this stick, I can control everything on the Dalek literally with one hand and drive at the same time. So that's the plan to do that, as opposed to what guys like Paul and Scully do, which is the cross hand making things work. And I just didn't want to try to do that.
Scully has a joystick for his dome and his eye stalk. I have a manual eye stalk with a dome rod, and I have a wheelchair controller with a forward, back, left, right axis, so I can do it front, go forward, backwards, left, turn left and right. Yeah. With a multi-axis stick, you can do, like you said, you can do everything with one hand. So you can be a true Dalek. So you can turn the Dalek, you can drive forward, backwards. You can use the weapon system on either hand, which means you can do the gun stick or the plunger with one hand, which is a whole different ball of wax because you got to remember which buttons you're pushing. It's like playing a game. But the hat on the joystick would be awesome to control the dome and the eye stalk motion, along with the blink effect if the hat has a push button detent on it. You can
it's a 4-position coolie hat, so it can do that, and that's the whole idea. Is what for me, what makes the Dalek so cool is being able to do simultaneous operations, dome rotation, eye stalk, blink, gun, all that. That's what really, that's what makes it that scary. That's what makes it come alive, quite frankly, right? And so I've seen guys do it, just using their hands and cross hands stuff, and it is really, it's painful. And so I'm going to trade on my Air Force background here a bit and try to do it a little more, somewhat more sophisticated. But I think in the end, it'll be easier to operate, which is really what I'm most interested. I'm willing to put the pain in and design it and build it so that it's easy to operate as opposed to the other way around. So we'll see. That's the plan.
We're coming to the end of the show. Mark Robinson says when the Gathering 2 happens in 2022, all of Florida Daleks, please attend. It will be awesome. So
where's the Gathering in?
Where's that going to be?
Mark, if you give us that information, we'll send it to the guys out here.
Okay, and as nice as it would be to attend that, shipping the Daleks to the UK would be.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, cost prohibitive. I would like to attend.
It's easier for you, Mark, to come over and see them at MegaCon than it would be to ship them to the UK, unfortunately. All those guys, but yeah.
It's got to be a Florida to London cruise ship or something,
Right, there you go.
Before we wrap up, I just want to ask the audience for a favor. We are 4 subscribes away from hitting the next goal of 1,400 YouTube subscribers. If 4 of you who are watching right now, just go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, as it's scrolling on the bottom of the screen, you will kindly get us to the next goal of 1,400. We're trying to get to 2,000, hopefully by the end of the year, hopefully by the end of the month. Well, it is the end of the month, maybe the end of next month. But
we're at the very end of the month.
I realized,
there's more end after this.
Yeah, summer's over. We're getting. I'm so happy to see the holidays come up a little bit there. Now we've got for those of you who are local to Florida, SeaWorld now has Hollow Scream, as just opposed to Busch Gardens in Tampa. They brought Hollow Scream over to SeaWorld. So they now have some haunted houses, and this will be the first year they're doing it. So we're going to be checking it out, as well as Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. And it's going to be interesting to see monsters in plexiglass. So that's going to be cool there.
Maybe we need a Dalek at Halloween Horror Nights.
I think
that
you
would
should.
Be cool.
Because I've been begging.
That would be freaking cool.
I've been begging for scare
we
zones.
Need more than one Dalek at Hollow Scream. We need 7 or 8 so we can actually do the true trundle with the battalion, where one behind the other, going through the crowd and exterminating.
Just exterminating people.
That's a great way to keep people occupied and give them something to do while they're standing in those long lines. I mean, it's a perfect thing for a Dalek to do.
I think it would be perfect for what would be great for a Dalek is if you do like a Doctor Who themed 5K, and you just have them as the SAG wagon, and you can't keep up your pace, you get exterminated and onto the bus. It's okay, sorry.
Well,
bus time.
Yes, exactly. Well, speaking of time, Chad, Ken, Mr.
Yes.
Paul, thank you for joining us today. We are going to be ending the show. I have to agree, a Dalek in a theme park. I've been begging Halloween Horror Nights. You could probably have a haunted house for every villain. The Daleks, you can be boarding their spaceship. The Cybermen, you could be going into the conversion chamber. The Weaving Angels, you can be going into Sally Sparrow's house.
I'd murder to see a Dalek inside the UK pavilion at Epcot.
I know.
Are you kidding me? Just them rolling around telling people to leave the park? That'd be great.
Park is closed. Get out.
Get the heck out.
Don't forget to subscribe over to the Facebook, facebook.com/FLDaleks, and also on their Instagram at Daleks.of.Florida. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Don't have to go home, but we can't stay here. See you next week. See you next Tuesday, 6 p.m. sharp. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll have another episode. I got one more chat. Oh, no, I thought it was. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Again, please stay safe wherever you are. If you're in Louisiana, please take care of yourself. And for those of you just around the world, whatever you need to do to take care of yourselves, we want to see you at the conventions out there, and we want you to definitely become part of
But I just got here.
Rewind.
Yeah, you can rewind it.
Sorry, timey
We got a
wimey.
whole 90 minutes, Ian mentioned. Thank you for joining us there.
All right.
Doctor, see you soon. All right, let's put a rest to this. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.